Alright, everybody. We're going to be returning one last time to a topic that has... Let's just say my coverage of this topic has brought a lot of hate my way. Because you see, a large content creator who made videos basically centered around debunking MLM schemes and talking about sometimes true crime stuff, just general documentary style content, nothing really that, insanely unique as far as YouTube is considered these days. Illuminaughtii is the name that she'd go by, with a ridiculous amount of I's before and after her name. She gotten, unraveled in some drama, you see. It started out with something relatively harmless. She accused Legal Eagle's editors, a large lawyer YouTuber, of engaging in plagiarism of her editor's style of video editing. This, of course, got proven to be a ridiculous lie. In fact, what Legal Eagle's editors had actually asked for was some advice on how to create a macro that would automate an edit that basically creates a highlight over text as like a visual effect, something that anyone can do and any editing software can do. They were literally just asking for advice on how to automate that process or to make it a little more simple, because it is somewhat complicated to do that edit. But like literally not plagiarism. Nobody owns the concept of like highlighted text being used as an edit in a video. And so Illuminaughtii just kind of got laughed off for that, and a lot of people were like, yeah, she's kind of a bitch, huh? Here's the thing, though. She couldn't take that L lying down. So she made a response. She realized she couldn't really, pull a W out of the whole Legal Eagle thing, so instead she starts the video off very apologetic. She even uses, different model avatars for her videos. They have different different moods her avatar will have, right? Like sometimes it's surprise, sometimes it's sad, sometimes it's upset and stern, sometimes it's really giving you a talking to, that kind of thing. And in the beginning part of the video, it's always she's literally got her avatar holding, doing the anime sad girl pose. She's supposed to come off as really sad and apologetic, right? And that's how she sounds too. But as we get further into the video, when she moves off the topic of Legal Eagle and starts discussing another drama that got sort of dredged up following her starting the whole Legal Eagle thing. And that was the falling outs she'd had with her former working partners in a group called Sad Milk, and the claims from them that she had been abusive towards them in a variety of ways. And the ways in which she had been abusive were very, very vast. I can't even remember the half of them right now because it's just all a big jumble of awful. There are YouTubers who've explained it in far more detail. I'm sure we're about to hear it, repeated here in a minute in the video we're about to watch. But Illuminaughtii then goes on to start leveraging accusations towards them for the rest of the video, acting as though she is the victim and she's actually the hero of the video. So 10% of it is her apologizing for the Legal Eagle stuff where she literally couldn't pull a W out if she tried. And then the rest of it, the other 90%, is her trying to flip the script and make it seem as though she's the one on the attack and pulling a W out of this whole situation by calling out her former work partners. Now, her former work partners all responded with a lot of evidence, a lot, and a lot of witness testimony as well. And basically the entire consensus across the board is that Illuminaughtii is in the wrong. Her channel has pretty much died at this point, and she's been humiliated to an insane degree for a content creator as large as her. She has completely fallen off. She is struggling to pull fractions of the viewership she got before this drama. Really good stuff to see. However, her response to this has been to threaten and in some cases engage in legal action towards the people who she previously worked with that called her out and exposed her. Now you may be wondering, how did I get negatively affected by this? Well, Illuminaughtii claims to be a leftist and was on a popular leftist podcast called The Leftist Mafia. She was friends with, notably, Lance of the Serfs. Now, for those that don't know, Lance of the Serfs has hated me for quite some time, for reasons I don't even know at this point. However, when the whole Illuminati situation came out and she got outed as an abuser, undisputedly, he made a whole video coming to her defense, calling her victims liars, and claiming that she had been, like, the one in the right the entire time. I responded to this video and called him out. And in response, he deleted the video so that people couldn't, like, see his video defending her as evidence, and then went on the attack against me. He calls me Slander Hall at one point, which is a term that was invented by, like, lolicons on Twitter who were big mad about me calling them pedophiles. And I make fun of Lance for that, saying, Lamau, your super original, clever insult literally comes from, like, lolicons on Twitter who are big mad. Like, come up with something better. And he then goes on to accuse me of calling him a bisexual man a pedophile, or pedo-jacketing him, or claiming he's pedo-adjacent. I don't recall which of those it was, but it was one of those three. He basically goes on the defense by going on the offense and moves the topic as far away from Illuminati as possible because he knows he can't defend that. They're forced to remove her from the podcast and denounce her, but for literal weeks, Lance was telling his fans and my fans that watch him, because we had a lot of a shared audience at the time, that I was actually just bigoted and hated Lance and mad at him and trying to, like, destroy his career or something, when in reality I was exposing his blatant defense of an abuser. Guys, don't spoiler too much about the video. I want to see Zan's reaction to some of it. Okay, cool. Anyway, Lance of the Serfs ended up being a big Illuminati defender, had to walk it all back kind of secretly because he didn't want the people who didn't know that he defended Illuminati to find out, but he wanted the people who knew about it to think that he was apologetic, so he had to walk that fine line of, like, covering his tracks, but also kind of taking accountability. And then, of course, he spent, like, the rest of the time shitting on me and trying to make me look bad. That said, though, Illuminati has continued to fall, and she has now resorted to legal action against one of her victims, Oz Media, a YouTuber with 550,000 subscribers, who's now put out a video called Let's Talk, an update on Illuminati drama. My understanding is that Oz Media is facing legal trouble with Illuminati. I don't know the details. I actually have not seen this video, so I am actually really excited to watch it. So let's watch. We'll speed it up a little bit.
Howdy everyone, I'm Oz, in the flesh. No cartoon avatar this time.
Hi, Oz.
I'm making this because I'm giving an update to both my regular viewers and those who are here for something a bit more specific. To my regular viewers first, I hope this video can help explain where I've been over the last 3 years. For those who are here for the Illuminati drama, I do have some news, and I'm making this video for full transparency, as I believe—
Oh yeah, sorry, that makes sense. For those that don't know, the reason Lance hates me is because Lance is friends with Thought Slime, and Thought Slime was the originator of the claim that I had a sex cult. And Thought Slime to this day maintains that claim and is, like, really mad that they weren't able to destroy my career when I had less than 20,000 subs, and I just keep growing. And it makes Thought Slime really mad.
This is important in a situation like this. First and foremost, I need to make everyone aware, for reasons that I hope this update will make clear, for my safety, I need to put a short and temporary pause on production of my video on Illuminati. The video will still, of course, be produced. I just need to put things on a lower burn and return to regular content for the time being, for many reasons. Some of them being the honest truth that I can't afford to continue at this rate, both fiscally and physically. Illuminati has taken this to—
What she's engaging in is slap-suiting. She's trying to bankrupt the people who are daring to speak out against her, hoping that if she can just financially ruin anybody who would tell the truth about her, then she can just get away with, like, she can keep it suppressed. This is Machiavellian supervillain shit.
A legal front, using the courts because of how poorly things went for her on the internet. As a reminder, for those of you unaware, Illuminati started a fight with a lawyer on Twitter, accused him of copying her style, which then led to other content creators and past collaborators speaking out about their past interactions with her. Illuminati is—
So yeah, the three big people who came forward initially were The Click, Wonder, and One Topic. They were the three big people who'd come forward with their stories, who all had mass amounts of evidence. And Oz Media, who was part of the group and was one of the victims as well, hadn't even come forward yet when Illuminati went on the attack against them. Illuminati preemptively went after Oz Media before Oz Media could even say anything. That is how desperate she is to cover up the truth.
Has interactions with her. Illuminati is the one who took this off of Twitter and brought it onto YouTube, where she would then post a suicide note of one of her former employees for the world to see as an attempted own. Now, full transparency, I was one of the creators who spoke out against her, despite the fears and hesitations that I had. I've put a lot of things in my life on hold to produce this video, ending up with nearly 110 pages of a manuscript which details as much of what I can. And let me tell you something, converting this monstrosity into a video with its accompanying half-thousand screenshots has been one hell of a monumental task for me, a one-person team, to embark on. I want to get everything right, or more of I need to, and I need to ensure that everyone's stories are factual. But to do so, I need to pump the brakes and not rush this out for the sake of being able to not stress about my next meal, or my next bill for that matter. Because of this, I need to, and more importantly, I want to, continue my regular content so I can afford to live day to day. There is another factor to all of this, a factor which Illuminati has caused, or as I will be calling her throughout this video, Blair. For full transparency, which will be explored more in my future video, Blair and I dated. We were a couple for a decent chunk of time. This puts me in an ungodly complicated situation of doing everything that I can to try and separate the relationship drama from the public drama, as in the process of dating her, there are a lot of things which I bore witness.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. This poor motherfucker has possibly lived with Illuminati, has had to be in the presence of Illuminati's personality and narcissism and manipulation. That is awful. It gets worse. Yeah, dude, based on the things we've heard about this lady, the idea of having to be in a relationship with her sounds genuinely, like, traumatizing. Like, I can only imagine having, like, PTSD after that kind of a relationship. Honestly, Xanderhall, his situation might hit a little close to you. Fuck. Okay, that'll make it funny. All right.
Yes, too.
In that case, I'll have a lot of good memes for this.
Before anything else, I want to firmly state that this update is being made with the understanding that there is a likelihood that this will end up in a courtroom. I say this because things have been escalating quite a bit behind the scenes, and the stress has certainly been rising. What I can only describe as retaliation from the person who's my ex, former employer, and prior colleague, Blair is in the process of currently foreclosing my home. Because of this stress, of Blair taking my home from me, I need to pump the brakes and change directions so I won't be homeless come Christmas. Because that's when Blair set my home to foreclose, right before Christmas. And yes, Blair has the power to set the foreclosure sale. This situation was a fear and hesitation that I had from the beginning, even telling Wonder as far back as April, a day before my thread went up, that I was mortified that if I spoke out against Blair or even dared to cross her, that she would retaliate with taking my home from me. When I did speak out, as many of you are aware, Blair sent me a cease and desist. A cease and desist, by the way, over a Twitter thread which she apologized for not only in her video, but as well as privately. Despite this, I persisted on working on my video, continuing the production of something which started as 20 pages, then slowly grew into the novel that it's become. Throughout this entire process, I had the fear that once I released this video, Blair would drop the hammer on me. I've lived the last 4 months of my life with the looming threat of Blair's retaliation, and truth being, from my understanding, she could have done this as early as June. As to why Blair waited so long, I'm honestly unsure. To me, it feels like Blair is taking every—
Dude, she is literally dedicated to taking as many people down with her as possible. That's all she wants to do at this point. She knows there's no saving herself and that she's a sinking ship, so now she's just trying to claw on to as many more people who've wronged her, in her view, as possible to try to drag them down too, because that's the only thing resembling a win she can get out of this.
Course of action that she can to prevent this video from being produced, from legal threats to trying to take my home, which wouldn't be surprising, considering Blair's alleged white-collar crimes I intend to expose with evidence within my video. Before any of this, however, I am taking the proper legal channels and
Okay.
Speaking with the right people to elevate this down the needed path. Because of this, it would be unwise of me to reveal further information. I can only assume this is one of the reasons Blair is so determined to shut down my video's production. And to repeat myself from earlier, every word that I speak within this update is with the explicit understanding that this video may end up on the floor of a courtroom. In order for me to fight this, regular production of my content is needed.
So effectively, they're saying this is under oath. They're speaking as though they are under oath and that their words will be, like, held in a courtroom. And if things are proven as a lie here, then that would be proven as a lie in the courtroom, is how they want it considered. Pretty sounds legit.
Needed to help fund the production.
We all already know. Guys, like, the amount of indisputable evidence we have all, like, us, the court of public opinion, have already seen at this point. It's nice that Oz Media wants to, like, make sure we know they're telling the truth. But to be completely honest, we've known that anything that this group of people says about Illuminati is going to be true for a while now. If they told us that she, like, skins babies and like drinks their blood to stay alive, I'd believe it. And I wouldn't do my own research. I'd take it at face value and I'd run with it.
Of this said video. The reason why I'm making this update is so it's understood that I'm not just ignoring my obligations and responsibilities and suddenly hiding behind a flurry of videos in hopes that people will one day forget. The reason why this video has taken so much time as it has is not only am I a one-man team producing this, but I'm also continually uncovering more segments to the story and hearing more and more voices that come forward to speak their side of things. Interviews, questionnaires, screenshots, the works. All from a number of individuals. During this process, the video will continue to remain under production. I'm not stopping this because of her retaliation. While she did successfully give me pause, I do fully intend to complete this video. Now, let's talk about how Blair is even able to foreclose on me. What put her in a position of power beyond a landlord? A mortgagee, which in my eyes is something even worse. As a quick note, Blair's name is not on any of the original documents related to my home. I'm providing all of this information to give full context to the GoFundMe as I...
So, Oz Media bought the house from Illuminati, is my understanding? And that's how she would be the mortgagee? That Oz Media has to pay a mortgage to Illuminati? No, he'll explain. Okay. I don't know. I don't know a lot about house buying, okay? I'm a 24-year-old Zoomer, okay? I'll own a house in my fucking dreams. That's about it. My house in Minecraft is the closest I'll ever have to owning a home. I'm Gen Z, okay?
I feel it's more than deserved, as... honestly, I would feel guilty as hell putting the video on pause shortly after it hit its funding goal, followed by me just continuing to upload regular content without warning. More details will of course follow with the main video, as I do not have time to fully expand on everything. As I briefly stated previously, Blair and I dated. We started when I was 20 and she was 28.
I'm so sorry.
And currently, I'm 23, almost 24. In the beginning, Blair...
Bro is MILF chasing. It's dangerous, dude. It's a dangerous activity.
Walked me into several poor financial decisions. My naivety caused me to believe her reassurances that I could handle all of the financial obligations being dropped onto my shoulders by someone more experienced in life than I was. Why these obligations were placed onto me? At the time, Blair had bad credit, so all of the purchases, loans, everything was being placed in my name. This included the car that she purchased, then revoked from Wonderstruck. I was on the loan as a cosigner only because of my credit at the time. Eventually, though, the financial responsibilities that I incurred would stack up on me, building a mountain of monthly debt that would lead me into several financially tight months, and eventually just breaking. This would lead me to asking Blair.
But this is like a little bit of a reality check for a lot of you, I think, for YouTubers that are under 1 million subs. Like, if you're under 1 million subs on YouTube, 99.9% of the time, you are not successful enough to be free of situations like this. I certainly am not successful enough to not have to worry about, like, shit like this. It's easy to assume, the 650k, YouTuber that I watch, they must be, like, rich as fuck and completely fine financially, but that's not always the case. Like, how much money a YouTuber makes is very dependent on the ways they've diversified their income. Like, I've been pretty smart about it, so if I had, like, 600k subs, I'd probably make a lot of money because of the way that I monetize is, like, a lot more efficient than many other people do. But, like, it's not uncommon for like large YouTubers to face situations like this. And of course, any content creator can be shot down by 3 consecutive false strikes.
My partner for financial help for things such as my home, which she was living in. Help from my partner, who at any given time would be making up to 30 times my monthly income. These amounts of assistance would be added to a ledger of debt. And I want to clarify again, Blair wasn't my bank. She wasn't my landlord. She was my partner at this time. This ledger also includes things such as a non-refundable design fee and land deposit on a multi-million-dollar custom home that she threatened to break up with me if I didn't agree to proceed on this with her, as well as other financial expenses that
Jesus.
I honestly can't account for, nor even come close to this number when digging through my own finances. This ledger would creep into the range of $180,000, an insurmountable amount where I don't even understand how she got there. That number ballooned higher and higher, the number ever increasing, and I never questioned it out of guilt for needing help. Guilt from her telling everyone, from her friends to my friends to her employees to
just theft, just outright financial abuse. Yeah. I've got a little piece of that grit from the face exfoliant wash I used stuck in my eye. Literal financial abuse. There's literally no ambiguity about it. This is financial abuse.
hell, even her Discord staff about my finances, oftentimes unprompted. Guilt involving the fact that everyone I interacted with on a day-to-day basis looked down on me for her words towards me. My own partner, the person who was supposed to be my other half, was actively putting me in a position where she was chipping away at my mental health. I was afraid to tell anyone what was happening because she had convinced me that I was a parasite, that I...
That's very emotionally heavy. I've been in the position of being scared and confused. So it's not exactly like my situation that I went through. For me, it was like literal, like over a year of financial stress, of me being like, why does it not matter how hard I work on my YouTube channel, how much I stream, how long I stream, how much I upload? Why is it that at the end of the month, at the end of the week, when I get paid, I still end up with the same amount of money, like, left over in the end every time? Like, my channel's growing, my ad revenue's going up, I feel like people are donating more, but there's just not money. There's not as much there when I check as I thought. And for over a year, this was the case, and it was such a massive point of stress for me. Like, just imagine that, you know, you do a live stream, and you make $300. You click into your PayPal or your bank account to see like that $300 there, and you see only like 180 went through, or 120, or 130, and it's like that every single time, and it's like, what is going on? What, like, why is so? Where is it going? Is it fees? Like, what is it? And it's being stolen by your partner, and that partner, who has far more experience with like paying bills and living as an adult on their own, tells you, nah, this is normal. It's, you know, it's bills, there's so many bills, I gotta pay for food, you know, gas, and it's just, money just evaporates away that way. It's just how it is, you know, you just never have any pocket money, you know how it is. And, you know, now being financially independent from her for quite a while now, very aware that was a lie. I'm not like rich or anything like that, but having more than $100 in savings is the norm for how much I make. So it was pretty ridiculous that it seemed like my just funds would evaporate. And eventually I put 2 and 2 together, and I found out how she was hiding it. I found the evidence that concretely told me she's stealing. Yeah. Not exactly the same situation, but I can relate to an extent.
I avoided telling anyone who could have helped me see what was happening out of fear of further confirmation, more eyes looking down on me.
Oh, she was archiving the transfers, by the way. So what she was actually doing is she had access to my PayPal account, which is where YouTube and, not YouTube, where my website pays directly. And whenever I was live, she would literally just log into my PayPal account and then transfer like $100, $200 to her account, and then click on the transfer fee, or like the transfer log, and archive the payment so it wouldn't show up like on the main PayPal page, and you have to go looking for it and digging through like your archive payments. And when I did that, I saw the literal massive list of archived payments that I showed in my video where it's like like that video. That's all those archived payments I found. And that was when I found those, I just texted her, "We're done." And that was the end. I had my hard evidence. I had suspicions for a while, but literally nothing hard enough to actually like end a relationship over. Like I kind of felt crazy. Like I legitimately felt like I was becoming one of those crazy, like hyper, like obsessive, jealous, abusive boyfriends or something by being so like concerned with like what was going on. But nope, I was being gaslit. She was stealing from me, and I my gut was correct. Like I was literally like, it's just something that feels wrong, and my gut was right. Did you press charges over anything? No, because she was in jail. Like, literally, by the time I figured this out, I shit you not, I break up with her over text. I go over to my mom's house, because she'd moved to California, and she was a few blocks away. My mom says, "Alex, you're not going to believe this, but, I think Lonnie's been arrested." I was like, "What?" She's like, "Yeah. Look at this." She shows me an arrest record from an hour prior. An hour prior. She lied, by the way, about where she was. She was in another city when she claimed she was like hanging out at her friend's house a few blocks away, by the way. She was in another city. She was arrested for having methamphetamine, paraphernalia, and like identity theft as well she was charged with because she had stuff for stealing IDs. She'd left like some like paper shit, some like paper measurer that I can guess was probably for that, but she had all the like illegal shit on her, and so she got arrested and charged with identity theft. And so she was in jail calling me for days, spamming me with calls from jail for days. I didn't answer her once because before she could even get her phone call to me, I knew she was in jail, and I was like, good. Didn't answer the phone once. Let her spend her week in jail, scared, confused, no idea if I knew, no idea what was going on. I don't think she even knew that we had broken up yet. And so when she got out of jail, I imagine that's when, you know, a lot of the information got to her. But I think, like, the fact that, like, when I decided I was breaking up with her, I literally moments later found out she'd been arrested for the thing that I was breaking up with her for. I felt that was like so cosmically divine justice. There was nothing more I could do but just say, thanks, universe, let's go. Yeah, and then after she got out of jail, she was so upset that I wouldn't talk to her and I wouldn't give her a place to live or give her money or whatever that she started threatening me with making a twit longer. And she sent me several messages saying, "Alex, if you don't send me a message back and reply to me now, I'm going to make a twit longer." And I just didn't reply to her. I just ignored every message and didn't respond. Didn't give her any indication I'd even seen them. And I was watching The Boys with my friends on Discord, and then she posted the twit longer full of lies. And I took a few days to respond to it, but, you know, I had to gather all the screenshots and the evidence and everything. And, well, you all know the rest. Everybody knows the rest of that story.
Something to note, when you're around Blair, your world revolves around her. In my case, my home was hers, despite her name not being on it. I had no friends out in Colorado, a state that I moved to at the behest of Blair. Only Blair's friends were out here. All of my connections had to be approved by her. I wasn't allowed to be friends with people she didn't like, such as Click in One Topic, or even Wonder, once that bridge was burned and reduced to cinders. I was even in a position where my finances were nearly
isolating him from his friends. Very common abuser tactic. Forming a self-reliance, or not a self-reliance, a reliance on the abuser and isolating them from everybody who could act as a support structure in their life.
Entirely controlled by her, from what debts I took on to later being the fact that she was the person who signed my paychecks. All while my world was painted to me in a light where I should be grateful for her generosity. It wasn't until recently, when I explained my situation to my parents, my friends outside of Blair's control, that I began to understand just how perverse my life had become for nearly 3 years. And I want to add, I tried to pay Blair back in any way that I could, by the way. I felt indentured to her by...
She's not your mom or your girlfriend. Why does she get to say who you hang out with? Well, in this case, she was his girlfriend. And a lot of like girlfriends have that power over their partner who they hang out with. Like that's not uncommon at all. Like if a person if like a guy values their relationship with their girlfriend enough, they'll absolutely end friendships like just to keep that relationship going. Absolutely. Yeah. That's where the power comes from for her to that she's leveraging to do the abuse.
This debt she had hanging over my head. Hell, I even took a position in her company at a lower pay to try and pay this debt back, offered to work with her in her crypto farm for free to pay back the debt. Anything that I could to try and make myself feel useful. While I worked for Blair's company, I helped improve it in any way that I could with my knowledge of how YouTube worked. I was able to assist in the push for Blair's channel to make the sudden and stark rise into a new payout range of 6 figures a month, all while I was being paid not even enough to get by with my monthly bills. And Blair was very aware of my finances. I sacrificed a lot of my time to try and recoup this debt while also trying to help save her channel, because in 2021, due to personal and private reasons expressed to me by Blair, this would lead me to up and almost entirely abandon my channel throughout the year of 2022. More of this story later.
This was Blair's goal. She tried to get this to happen with every content creator she worked with. If she could make them financially reliant on her instead of having a self-relying source of income on YouTube, then she'll have complete control over them. She relies very heavily on financial abuse. It's very obvious. It's one of the biggest, commonalities in all of the allegations against her.
Later, because there are more pieces. But this led to the end of 2022, where Blair would take advantage of not only my financial strife, but both my legal and financial illiteracy in December of that year. When I was 23 and Blair was nearly 31, Blair, with her lawyer, would create an honestly quite confusing legal document for me to sign where I would agree to pay back her debt. Blair, being the person who signed my checks, knew that I couldn't afford legal representation. Blair also knew that the $2,500 that she was having me pay monthly towards that debt was almost as much as I was making monthly working for her. This would mean that I could barely pay for anything else in my life other than the debt that I owed her. Everything I made working for her was going right back into her pocket. Blair would bring me to her lawyer's office, put me in a room alone with the two of them, with papers in front of me. Papers which I foolishly signed for a myriad of reasons, ranging from Blair expressing that
never sign a contract without a lawyer. Get a lawyer. You don't even have to, it's not a lot to get a lawyer to look over a contract. Have them look over the contract, explain all the conditions that are going to be of concern to you, and sign it with them present if you can.
That this would mend our relationship, that it was the right thing for me to do, that this would also protect her legally and prevent her from getting into trouble with the IRS. She also would describe to me, and while I can't remember if this exact word was ever used, she essentially explained to me that because she used company funds to assist me, that she had committed embezzlement. And by converting the amount that I owed her into a loan with her company, this would save her skin legally. Now, to most...
Bro. I don't know if you guys know this, but the IRS has, a mobilized, fighting unit. Do you guys know that? Yeah, there are IRS officers. Yeah, here's a good thumbnail from some conservative gun channel. Is the IRS a paramilitary force? Taxation is theft. Alright.
Most people, that word may not have a lot of meaning. But to me, when I was 11, my mother was incarcerated for this exact crime, a remnant of the 2008 financial crisis. This taught me a very harsh lesson from an early age. But more importantly, Blair was aware of this past of mine. Whether this was used against me, I can't say for certain. But the idea of another person I love being locked away, but this time for my actions, words cannot describe the guilt that I had. As I briefly stated earlier, Blair used this debt as a promise that this would specifically help mend our relationship, not our friendship, and put us on a better foot. It wouldn't be until a few weeks after signing that document that I would learn that she had already moved on, and had almost everyone in my daily life keep this fact a secret from me. Blair used all of this, promises of reconciliation and other factors, which will soon be further elaborated on, as means to get me to sign a document known as a deed of trust. I wasn't aware of the power...
Roping him in to her crime, making him potentially legally liable for her if she as well as her, if they get caught. forcing him, coercing him into becoming an accomplice effectively.
That this document held, what it does, what it allowed her to do. Again, I couldn't afford legal representation. She knew this. This document gave her the power to foreclose if I was unable to make a monthly payment of nearly $2,500 for nearly a decade. Blair knew that even with my income working for her, that this wasn't possible. So, it feels as though she knew that I would be destined to fall behind, that this outcome was inevitable. If the home is foreclosed, or if I decide to sell, Blair gets an immediate payout, and it's because of this that I'm hesitant to take the easy way out. There's also the fact that there's just not enough equity in the home, that if this were to foreclose upon, Blair would still be out money, and she could then sue me further to get that money back. If you're looking for an easy point of evidence, as you can see with Wonder, Blair has a habit of taking advantage of younger men, 8 years younger than her, and their financial illiteracy for her own personal gain. Originally, I assumed that I would have the video produced by now.
Women can be predators too, it turns out. Kind of a vital aspect of feminism is the recognition that women are people, and that people fucking suck. There are a lot of women out there that fucking suck and are abusers. They're just abusers in different ways than men tend to be. Men don't tend to be as, like, backhanded and manipulative. They tend to be a little bit more screamy and physically assaulty. And that kind of thing, and tend to exert their force and power in a more obvious and like sort of masculine coded way. And most stories you hear about women who are abusers tend to go a lot like this. There's just a lot of shitty people out there, and being an abusive partner is not limited by gender or sexuality or sex or any of those things.
But unfortunately,
And to be clear, there are also women out there that hit their male partners and, like, physically abuse them. I'm not saying it's like that's the case, like that's the dichotomy and that's it. I'm just saying that's how it tends to go.
Overestimated my abilities, and also had to deal with the legal and financial stress which followed. It's obvious to me that I need to focus on myself and not destroy my well-being for this video. This, of course, leads me to the GoFundMe. Not a penny of what has been raised will be used to repay Blair. I will be using the aid given for legal fees and only necessary expenses. The purpose is to aid me in potentially breaking out of what I can only call a manipulative situation with several lanes of legal red tape in front of me. This money will be used to secure a legal retainer and any legal cost, and once and only once the legal front is secured, will I use the funding to help with monthly finances related to securing my home. Finances which are not tied to Blair in any way. I also want to add that I'm not trying to escape any debt that I may rightfully owe Blair. I just don't want to fucking lose my home or lose it from retaliation. For further future transparency, I intend to provide updates with my GoFundMe, which will include progress updates and invoices when applicable. I intend to be as transparent as I legally can throughout all of this, and of course, I want to thank everyone for their patience with me, and I felt that this update was more than deserved for everyone who's been here so far. Thank you all.
We are, of course, going to be sending as much support as we possibly can to the GoFundMe. This should go without saying. Illuminaughtii is a demon in human clothing, wearing human skin. She is a monster. She is a creature from the depths, and she must be defeated by any means necessary. And Oz Media was literally groomed by an older adult and financially abused, coerced into getting involved with criminal activity, getting involved with embezzlement. This is inexcusable and disgusting behavior. And I want as many of you guys as you can possibly afford to go send some support over to Oz Media, even if it's $1. You can just send $1, I'm pretty sure. I think you can probably spare $1, right? It really does add up. So far, $38,000 has been raised for the goal of 4K, but Oz Media has quite a bit of debt, so while we are past the goal at this point, the more donos, the better. And it'd be very nice if you guys could send some support. I'd really appreciate it if you could. I dropped both links in the chat. There will, of course, be a pinned comment with the link, and it'll be in the description of this video. So please, go send some support, and, I don't know, make your message along with the donation, fuck Illuminati or something like that. That'd be pretty cool.